Okay. I looked up what I'm supposed to talk about today, and it's been changed quite a bit. It's been added to substantially. So yes, we're going to look at everyone's purpose in life, but we're going to add a lot to it. And essentially, it's got a new title: How to Live a Truly Spiritual Life. How to live a truly spiritual life. You know, if I asked you, how many of you want to do that, you'd all raise your hands, but some of us think we already live a spiritual life, and today we're going to take a look at what it takes to live a spiritual life. In fact, the book that I'm finished now is called that, How to Live a Truly Spiritual Life. And I've developed and researched, put together something I call the 10 secrets. They're secrets because a lot of people think they already know how to lead a spiritual life, and they think they're living it, and I hope they are. And then other people don't have a clue, and they haven't paid attention to it much. So, I've researched it and put together 10 secrets that if you accomplish these, if you discover these secrets and put them into action, you will definitely be leading a spiritual life. Now, why is a spiritual life important? Well, it'll help you get up there, but then also, if you don't live a spiritual life, a lot of people poo-poo, excuse me, being spirituality in general. And when you die, there's levels of heaven. And I'm saying that like a fact, but I don't know facts. But in my research to spiritual leaders and so forth, the latest is that there's 7 levels to heaven. The highest level is for the most spiritually advanced. And when you get there, you'll be with other like spiritually advanced people. Because there is an afterlife, you know. And in fact, that's the first secret, is that there is no, there's only bodily death. Your body will die. You won't, ever, as a soul spirit. And Buddhism, Catholicism, Jainism, they all agree on that the soul continues after death. So you're going to live forever. For some of you, that's a problem. But it won't be, because you're taken care of once you're on the other side. Very much so. And you'll see along the way how well we're taken care of on the other side. What happens when you first die? Well, you're a little confused, and you're a lot confused if you haven't led a spiritual life and if you haven't expected to live beyond. You're confused. And there's a silver cord that attaches your body to your soul spirit while you're transitioning. And then, once you fully transition, it falls away. And you're on your own. And you left materialism behind. And so, that's a big blessing. There's no hell. I'm sorry to tell you. I thought you had your neighbor all ready for that. But there's no hell. God is all loving. All loving. Well, no all-loving God would create a hell, a burning forever kind of hell. They just wouldn't. What they did instead was invented reincarnation, or God created reincarnation. which is a second chance. A second chance to, if let's say you've battled alcoholism your whole life, or maybe a couple of lives, because it can spread over into the next life. Well, you have another chance, and you come back to defeat that particular bad bear in your life, alcoholism or drugs, or let me see, just share my case. I have known, or had known for quite a while, that I wasn't very good at communicating with my family. I just wasn't. I was afraid of what they were going to say, and I just didn't know how to do it or go about it. And I think my kids suffered for that. I didn't communicate a lot of things. And that's karma. Baggage that you take over to the next life if you don't handle it now. So I did some things to handle it, and I got really good at communication. And so I don't have that karma anymore, I'm sure. That's K-A-R-M-A, and essentially is the baggage you take with you and the things you haven't dealt with effectively. I haven't been very good with finances. Just haven't been. I'm still not. So I'm carrying that baggage around. So like that. That's the second secret, is reincarnation. And there's a story that I tell. I tell a story with the book. And I tell a story with Charles Westbrook from Newport Beach, California. A young 40-something millionaire. And he's living the dream with his wife and 2 kids. And then there's a horrible accident, head-on, and they're all killed in the book. They didn't really happen. I made it up. So everybody was killed. Well, he was destitute. He went back to drinking, which he had a problem. And he felt like, in fact, killing himself, but he didn't. He made it through. And he escaped to San Miguel Allende. There, he got drunk at the local expat bar, Hank's Bar. Who's been to Hank's Bar in San Miguel? Anybody? Okay, Hank's Bar is the hangout. And he'd go there every night and he'd get drunk and he'd bother the people. And finally the owner told the manager, Manuel, get him out of here, he's bothering people. They did. They put him out on the street. He's sitting there, almost getting his feet run over by cars, and he's just in a stupor. And a lady comes up and taps him on the shoulder and says, you need to come with me. And he says, oh, no quiero prostituta. And she says, I'm not a prostitute. He says, well, no quiero. And she says, no. She gets real firm with him. You need to come with me. And so he does. He goes with her. She helps him up. He goes with her a few blocks, and they turn the corner. And they go into this small bar that sells cell phones. And you know how they are here. A small store that sells cell phones and a couple of tables in the back for food. And she says, you go sit with him. Him was a blind man. He pretended to be blind so he'd get more contributions in his cup so that he could share those with the poorest of the poor. That's what he was up to. Who couldn't even beg. And his name was Javier. And this time he wasn't dressed like a beggar and he wasn't blind. He was talking in pure English, and he said, you have a problem, and I can help. In English, completely. And Charlie manages, how are you going to help me? You're looking for my money. Well, no, he said, no, you have helped me, though, at the plaza. You gave me money, and I helped the poor. And he said, but I'm going to help you. I know you're a troubled man, and I know about your family being killed. How do you know that? I just do. Just be quiet and sit down. He does. And he said, I'm going to help you, whether you want me to or not. I'm going to send you around the world. I know you have a lot of money. I don't care about your money. But I'm going to send you to 9 of my fellow teachers of secrets. And when you learn those secrets, you're going to find peace and a lot of answers to questions that I'm sure you have. Like, for example, how could an all-loving God do that to my family? How did that happen? How does he allow that to happen? So, long story short, he tells them the first secret, and I already told you, there's no soul death, only bodily death. You will never die, Charlotte. And so that was the first secret, and then Javier sends him to India, and he flies to India, and he's to find Kashmiri, who is an expert on reincarnation. And Kashmiri teaches him about reincarnation. And he says, I don't believe in reincarnation, is what he told Kashmiri. But he said, you will. And let me find this story that I want to tell you about reincarnation. There's on the web, just a minute. So it's about a young boy named Michael who was about 6 years old, and he lived in Texas. And he said some extraordinary things to his parents. When he was younger, he always was trying to grab his dad's watch, which was a Rolex, and a particular kind of watch that his father, who left them quite a while ago, had. And so he always liked that watch. And later on, he said it was his. And then he said, my name is Sonny. Sonny Ray. And her last name, his mother, was Ray. And so she said that her name was Sonny. Well, turns out that that lady, another lady, went to a conference in Texas, and he went there with his mother and father. And he also went to her house. She was at a conference. Her name was Ray, and they went to her house, and he said, "Where's my guitar?" The parents didn't even know he had a guitar, but she went and got it and brought it to him. And he played, fumbly a little bit, but he played a song with his guitar that he had as a teenager by that time. So anyway, he knew things about it. He said, the lady that lived there said, "Do you recognize this house?" And he says, "No." And she said, "Well, we moved here recently, so he couldn't have." And on and on. He was Sonny Ray, who died before. Her husband, named Sonny Ray. And he reincarnated as the husband. Well, she turned out, when she finally got convinced that it was her ex-husband who died, she moved with him. His parents let him go at 14, let him go and live with her because they just were so attached. And he lived the rest of life. There was another story, also on the web. There's 30, it's called this particular article on the web. There's 30 very convincing stories about reincarnation that will make you believe. Another one was 2 girls, they were close in age, were playing on the sidewalk, and they got killed, run over by a car that came up on the sidewalk. And that was, of course, a major tragedy. Well, they finally got pregnant again a couple, 3 years later. And when they were born, they discovered that one had a birthmark exactly where it was on the one daughter, and the other one had another mark on her leg exactly where it was. So that her 2 daughters that got killed came back. And there's more, a lot more. So, the second secret is reincarnation. I had a regression. Anybody ever been regressed to a previous life? Okay, well, I looked down at my feet when I was regressed, and they were all hairy, like a Neanderthal, so I think I went a little too far back. But I was more or less convinced something was making my feet hairy. So that's the second secret, reincarnation. And the third one is purpose. The third one is purpose. And I want to ask you something. I want you to turn to a partner, just anybody close by, and tell them what you think your purpose of your life is. Right now, go. Okay, thank you, partner. Thank you. Now, Charlie was asked that question by a secrets teacher also, and he said, well, I think he's a real estate agent, so he said, well, I think it's my purpose, it's been my purpose to make a lot of money, take care of my family as best I can, and to sell a lot of houses. And that's my purpose. That's what I wake up to in the morning. And, oh, the purpose, I forgot to tell you, the purpose teacher, secret teacher, the third one, is named Wilhelm, and he was in an insane asylum, considered to be insane. But when he started talking about the secrets, he came completely lucid. And he said, well, that's not your purpose. Everyone has the same purpose, he said. Well, there was one other one. A teacher said, well, my purpose is to take care of my kids in my class and make sure they're all taken care of really well and they learn what they need to learn and so forth. That's my purpose. I live for that. And Wilhelm said, no, that's fine, and it's great that you have a earthly purpose, but you also have a spiritual purpose, and that's what everybody has. And he says, here's what it is. Everyone shares the same purpose in order to live a truly spiritual life. First of all, to love everyone. Everyone. Even that guy. To be of service to all others before ourselves. In other words, don't be selfish, take care of people before yourself. To advance in spiritual knowledge and awareness, to pray and meditate daily. I know we don't all do that. How many of you pray every day? How many meditate every day? About the same number, okay. Yeah. That's only about 20%, guys. One of the secrets later on is how to meditate. And I'm going to give you a very simple one that works wonders. I'm not through. Be grateful. That's your job. Forgive and ask for forgiveness. I had a couple ex-wives that I had to work on that one with. I came out really good on that one. And to take care of yourself. Don't forget about yourself. So I'll read it again. To love everyone. To be of service to all others before yourself. To advance in spiritual knowledge and awareness. To pray and meditate daily. To be grateful. To forgive and ask for forgiveness, and to take care of oneself. Okay. So that's essentially it. That's the secret of purpose. If you do that, that's very useful in terms of going up the ladder of spiritual evolution. Okay, number 4. It's the one you wouldn't think of. It's called resistance. Resistance. What do you resist in life?
Temptation.
For a lot of people, it's eating healthy and exercising. I resist it. I resist eating healthy. And I don't give up pizza, for example. And I exercise so-so. But I could do a lot better. So you look at what you resist, and that's a signal to you. That's something you need to take care of in this lifetime. Otherwise you're going to carry it with you. I mean, it's really important. It's important to you individually as a soul. Because it will depend on where you end up after you die too, which level. If you carry a lot of baggage, they don't let you in at the high levels, evidently. So, when you go home, you might make a list of the things that you resist. For Charlie, on his list, he resisted eating healthily, and he resisted trying to get Aunt Claire out of his face. But Aunt Claire was driving him to death. And he resisted trying to straighten her out in a way that he could live with her. So that was one thing he resisted. And he was in the real estate business. And he resisted anytime he had to let somebody go or correct somebody beneath him and so forth. He resisted it. He just wasn't very good at communicating when there was a problem. And, people notice. The rest of the staff, for example, noticed he doesn't really take care of business like he should with some of the people on the staff. And they lose respect. So it's important. But what do you resist? If you made a list of all the things that you resist, you'd be surprised. I never kept a checkbook. I resisted that, and I paid for that eventually. So it's important. Number 4. Number 5, to meditate daily. Now, there's all kinds of meditation, and in my book I describe them all, and Charlie even practices it, practices meditating. There's about 12 different kinds that he practices in. He goes to another country for that. He goes to, what is it called? British Columbia. He goes all over the globe for these secrets. And he went to a retreat on what did I say?
Meditation.
What am I talking about? Meditation, thank you. It was a meditation retreat in British Columbia. And the teacher there was named Kizilala. She was actually a gypsy from the south of France, and she was a healer, but also a gypsy healer. Well, her father was a healer within the gypsies. So, to meditate daily. Now here's the one that I'm going to recommend. How many of you have trouble with meditation? Like, I just don't get it. Well, you're going to love this. You know the name Eckhart Tolle, right?
Yeah.
Power of Now. Well, he's a simplicity kind of guy. So he created the most simplest meditation, and it works wonders really with me. He says, here's how you meditate. Don't meditate. That's what he said. And it works. Just be there. And listen and open your heart. Open your heart and listen. I guess that's something you do. But don't say you have to count down from 100. I tried, and I'd lose at about 30. But don't, even, well, a lot of different kinds of meditation require that you do some kind of ritual along the way. Like the chakra meditation is you meditate on the different chakras once you learn them, and then you go through them, and then you go one by one, and all that, and it works, but it's complicated, more complicated. So I recommend that you try that form of meditation. Don't do it. Don't do it. But don't try it. Don't try it. Try is the worst part. You just be there. And you listen. Okay, now, I was raised a Catholic. And I was an altar boy, too. Anybody else? Altar boys in the crowd? There's one, two. Okay. And I went to Catholic school, elementary, with the nuns, Dominicans with the habits. They had a few bad habits too, but that's okay. They were my teachers too. But the act of contrition, how many of you know that, or know about it at least? It's a Catholic kind of a thing. I don't know if other churches have an act of contrition or not. They probably did. No. Any Baptists in here, did you have an act of contrition? No. Something where you said you were sorry to God? Okay. Well then, the Secrets teachers in my book got together for training, and they looked at the act of contrition. And it's, you know, see if I know most of it anyway. Oh my God, I'm heartfully sorry for having offended thee. Well, that's the first problem they found. They figured God probably doesn't ever get offended. You're putting a human characteristic on God. Oh my God, I'm heartfully sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, God, I'm sorry for offending you because you're all good and all loving, and I promise never to offend thee again. Something like that. I botched the ending, but, well, they found three problems with the whole act of contrition. First of all, God doesn't get offended. Second of all, there's no hell. So I'm dreading the powers of hell as an 11-year-old. And the nuns made sure I knew what it looked like and felt like in school. 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Where have I been? Oh, 20. Wow. Okay, I'll go through the rest. Okay, so they made a huge difference. They made a change to the act of contrition. And it's, oh my God, I'm heartfully sorry for having made mistakes that may or may not have harmed my brothers and sisters. Mistakes. That's a huge difference. Now, the very top echelons of most religions won't like that. No, you sinned. You're a sinner. You've got to accept that. No, you made mistakes. And it's such a loving thing to change it that way, because it means there are mistakes. You can make up for your mistakes. But with sin, you're going to hell. You don't get to make up for it with copying out by saying, oh, I just made a mistake. So they changed it to that. The next secret is to forgive others and ask for forgiveness. It's one of the strongest ways to show one's spirituality. And it removes a heavy weight from your heart. So who benefits from forgiveness? Both people, but the person also who holds the grudge carries a brick around with them around their neck. So you get rid of that by forgiveness. And it's not easy. It's embarrassing to forgive, to admit you made mistakes. I got pretty good at it. Okay. The next one, number 9, was you can let go of shame and guilt. Shame and guilt are things that a lot of people carry around with them their whole life, and it's very, very embarrassing. In his travels around the world, Charlie, by the way, met up with a woman. Had to happen in the book, right? A little bit of romance. She was named Suzanne, very, very beautiful girl, woman, and he met her in Johannesburg, South Africa. And the secret that she found there and Charlie found there is called, there is no other. There's no other. There's no other. The person next to you doesn't really exist as you look at her or at him. Your other is you at the same time. So there's really no other. It's all one with God eventually. So there really is no other. And in India especially, they have the saying of namaste, and you've heard it. Namaste. And essentially it means, I honor. You come across somebody in the street, whether you know them or not, and you say namaste, and you bow a little bit. And it means, I honor the Spirit of God within you. Isn't that beautiful, really, when you think of it? Just on the street. And you're honoring them by bowing. We need to have more of that. But if you go around saying namaste to people, there's a place for you around here. I don't know where it is. All right, back to shame and guilt. We go to New Zealand. That's on my bucket list. Charlie and Suzanne go to New Zealand, where their secrets teacher is named Arlo, and he's a big, strapping, rough guy, Australian. And they are to deal with their shame and guilt. And Suzanne had quite a bit of it, evidently, because she didn't want to miss that. So first of all, shame and guilt is really the same thing, almost. It's very close. It's too close to separate. You feel ashamed, you feel guilty. Oh, what's the difference? There's some, I looked up a bunch of psychiatrists, they make distinctions, but I don't get it. It's the same. And the secrets teachers agreed that it's the same. And that one of the participants in the circle of secret seekers was a psychiatrist named Philippe from the UK. And he agreed with the secrets teachers that there's no difference really. You're either guilty or you're ashamed. Doesn't matter what label you put on it. It's hurting you inside. You carry that with you. And the solution they had of letting it all go, first of all, they scared him a little bit and said, you're going to tell your neighbor the deepest, darkest secret that you've never told anybody and you would never want anyone to know. Now that kind of gets you interested. But then the solution was, you're going to write it down on a piece of paper, and he has them do that, and then they make a little bonfire in the patio and they burn it. And say the act of contrition to God. I'm sorry that I made these mistakes and I won't do them again. That kind of thing. So, I get chills when certain things are true, and there they are. Then there was two more things I want to leave you with. The first one, how many of you ever carried with you, in your childhood especially, but even as an adult, I'm not good enough? You can just shake your head. You don't have to raise your hand. I'm not good enough. It's debilitating. So they handled that in the last workshop, on the last secret. And there's this one gal named Vivia, and Vivia had read her hand right up, I'm not good enough. And they worked with her, and they got her to say, you are definitely good enough. You're as God made you. You are beyond good enough. You're a walking, talking miracle of God's creation. And she thought about that, and they had her say it. So she kind of said it, but then they said, how does that feel? Doesn't feel like me, is what she said. But then they asked her to say that to herself every morning when she got up. I am beyond good enough. I am as God made me. I am the walking, talking miracle of God's creation. And it really set in with her, and she got it. And that's what you are. That's what we all are. We're a walking, talking miracle of God's creation. And we're definitely good enough and beyond that. So if you take anything away today, take that. And finally, I'm going to give you just a little exercise, and I learned it about how to communicate better with my wife, my kids, whatever, whoever. And it's called the What's Going On With You exercise. So we don't have time, but if we did, I'd pair you up, two people, A and a B, and you take turns, 5 minutes each, and it's a ritual, not just an exercise. It's something you do every week. So you set aside 30, 40 minutes every Sunday evening to do what's going on with you. And you look the other person in the eyes, and you take turns. Margaret, what's going on with you? And she answers whatever's going on with her. And then she does that for about 5 minutes. And if there's a lull, you say it again, Margaret, what's going on with you? And you can specify later on, once you get good at this exercise, what's going on with you physically? Usually we complain about things and everybody knows. But who knows? Something that you found out about your partner. And then what's going on with you intellectually? Well, what's going on with you socially? And you might learn that, well, they're feeling lonely. And this exercise brings that out. Because you can feel lonely and have a whole family around you. So again, it's very simple. That's how you do it. Set aside it like a ritual, and you do it every week. And then every week, and you share, and then once you're through, you're supposed to only listen when the other person talks. Don't interrupt. And you'll find that it's miraculous in what you add to your communication with people. Okay, thank you.